Welcome dear students to our political science class of standard 10th. Today we will be doing the fourth lesson, social and political movements. When a group of people come together in large numbers in a systematic, organized way to place their demands in front of the government, then it becomes a movement. So let's learn more about social and political movements in this lesson. We have learnt about national and regional parties. Political parties generally adopt issues concerning the nation with a broad perspective, right from cleanliness to space research. As in case of the current situation, the government, that is a prime minister or say a chief minister's prime concern is to get a solution for the control of the pandemic coronavirus, a situation that is affecting the nation at large. They can't be taking charge of issues like the death of an actor or influential people involved in drug issues, so on and so forth. Political parties adopt policies taking into consideration the interest of all farmers, laborers, businessmen, women, youth and senior citizen. Now, there are some issues of concern which the government hasn't yet addressed. These issues are brought forth in the limelight by the common people with the help of the local government so as to resolve it and bring it to the attention of the government. This is where the need of movement arises. It is not possible for all the citizens to participate in political parties due to their personal commitments. On the other hand, there are some people who focus on a particular issue and pursue it. For example, in 2011, Anna Hazare, an Indian social activist, led movements to promote rural development, increase government transparency, and investigate and punish corruption in public life, thereby demanding for Jan Lokpal Bill. After Manmohan Singh, the then Prime Minister of India, rejected Hazare's demand, he began a hunger strike on 5th April 2011 at the Jantar Mantar, Delhi. He said the fast would continue until the legislation was enacted. His action attracted considerable amount of people who joined him in fasting. So here we see how people are organized and the government is pressurized with an intention to resolve the issue. This type of organized activity is called a movement, which is the very essence of democracy. For example, the movement against child marriage has been successful to a great extent. As a result, the extent of child marriages have reduced by 50%. This movement was supported by the workers who belonged to the movement against dowry. Thus we observe that different social problems come under discussion through these movements. Leaders and activists of the movement provide necessary information about those issues to the government, thereby bringing those issues to the attention of the government. The government in turn uses this information while making policies. Like say, the Marathas launched a non-cooperation movement against the government of Maharashtra and the government of India in August 2018. The non-cooperation movement covers non-payment of taxes to government and local bodies until reservations are implemented. After continuously growing protests in each city and millions of people's participation in each Maratha Kranti Morcha, the Maharashtra legislature on November 29, 2018 passed a bill granting 16% reservation in education and government jobs to the Maratha community under the socially and educationally backward category. Some movements aim at opposing a particular decision or policy of the government. For example, the Narmada is India's largest westward flowing river and is of immense religious and cultural importance to the people living on its bank. It is also the subject of the largest river development project in the world, the Narmada Valley Project, which envisages the construction of 30 large and hundreds of small dams along its length. The Narmada projects are the epitome of unsustainable development. Two of the largest proposed dams, Sardar Sarovar and Narmada Sagar, have been under construction since 1961. According to Narmada Bachao Andolan, the dams force the displacement of about 1 million people and affect many more, largely poor peasants and tribals. They also cause immense ecological damage through the inundation of forests, including prime habitats of rare species. Resettlement and compensation have been totally inadequate, and there is not the remotest prospect that the displaced people will be adequately resettled, nor that the ecological damage can be compensated for. Save the Narmada movement, or Narmada Bachao Andolan, was a massive social struggle movement organized by Baba Amte and Medha Patkar. The decade-long struggle in the Narmada Valley has resulted in suspension of the work on the Sardar Sarovar Dam project through the movement as well as the Supreme Court's intervention. Now, dear students, we need to understand that the right to protest, to publicly question and force the government to answer is a fundamental political right of the people. But it is the valuable right of peaceful and orderly demonstrations and protest, and not otherwise like resorting to violence. A movement is a collective action. People participating in large numbers would be more effective in pressurizing the government to bring about the change. A movement can be formed when people come together in the interest of a particular issue. On June 1 and 2, 2019, nearly 5,000 Mumbaikars came together to clean up almost 20 tons of trash from 9 beachfronts, 4 rivers and different mangrove locations, all the same time. A movement has a particular social objective or a focused problem. For example, Anna Hazare demanding for Lokpal Bill to protest against the corruption. Movements have leadership. Few men have ever had as much of an effect on a world as Mohandas Gandhi. He was charismatic, deliberate and analytical. Knowing that violence only begets violence, he began practicing passive resistance, that is Satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi was a leader that brought one of the world's most powerful nations to its knees by using peace, love and integrity as his method for change. Movements have organizations. Say for example an organization called Bharatiya Gramin Mahila Sangh. The goal of BGMS is the welfare and empowerment of women and children. The organization creates Mahila Mandals, women self-help groups across villages in its areas for women empowerment and education. You know, there is an organization for every strata of the society. This helps in effective way of addressing issues of a particular group and thereby providing solutions. Any movement requires public support. See, maximum people support will help in pressurizing the government in changing its policies. Like non-cooperation movement launched by Gandhiji. He had asked people to ban foreign goods. That is, he had a plan of action. People were made to realize the need to be a part of this movement, so people participated in large numbers to protest against the British government. The tribal movements were not only agrarian but also forest based. When tribals were unable to pay their loan or the interest thereon, money lenders and landlords usurped their lands. The tribals thus became tenants on their own lands and sometimes even bonded laborers. All these factors of land alienation, usurpation, forced labor, minimum wages, and land grabbing made many tribes like Munda, Santals, Kol, Bhils, Warli, etc. in many regions like Assam, Odisha, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, and Maharashtra to revolt. The management of forests also led some tribes to revolt, as forests in some regions are the main sources of their livelihood. The British government had introduced certain legislations permitting merchants and contractors to cut the forest. These rules not only deprived the tribals of several forest products but also made them victims of harassment by the forest officials. In the 19th century, colonial India witnessed a massive upsurge in resistance movement led by Adivasis in the eastern part of the country called Chota Nagpur. These movements, including that led by the young tribal freedom fighter Birsa Munda, happened against the backdrop of a history of exploitation and land alienation. The main demand of the tribal movement is to accept their rights over their forest. They should be allowed to collect products of the forest and also should have the right to cultivate on forest land. Peasant movement in India arose during the British colonial period when economic policies characterized in the ruin of traditional handicrafts, leading to change of ownership, overcrowding of land, massive debt, and impoverishment of peasantry. This led to peasant uprisings during the colonial period and development of peasant movements in the post-colonial period. In 1938, the crops in eastern Khandesh were destroyed due to heavy rains. The peasants were ruined. In order to get the land revenue waived, Sani Guruji organized meetings and processions in many places and took out marches to the collector's office. The Champaran Satyagraha of 1917 was a farmers' uprising in which the farmers were protesting against having to grow indigo with barely any payment for it. The Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928 was a movement in the independence struggle led by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel for the farmers of Bardoli against the unjust raising of taxes. Leaders like Mahatma Phule, Justice Ranade, and Mahatma Gandhi greatly inspired the farmers' movement. Due to some reforms in agriculture, the farmers' movement slowed down. Then there was Green Revolution. Now what is Green Revolution? A large increase in crop production in developing countries achieved by the use of artificial fertilizers, pesticides and high-yield varieties is referred to as Green Revolution. Due to Green Revolution, the demand for agricultural credit had increased, as the new technology had increased the cash requirements of the farmers. Poor farmers were not able to get loans easily. There was displacement of agriculture labor by extensive use of agricultural machinery and left them unemployed. This situation led to the beginning of farmers' movement. Shetkari Sanghatana, Bharatiya Kisan Union, All India Kisan Sabha are some of the important farmers' organizations in India. Some of the demands of farmers' movements are appropriate price for agricultural products, agriculture to be treated as an industry, implementation of Swaminathan Commission as it was tasked with finding solutions to the problems faced by the farmers, debt relief and debt cancellation, national policy for agriculture, etc. In a globalized world, it is equally important to protect the interest of workers along with that of industrialists. A trade union can be defined as an organized association of workers in a trade or profession formed to further their rights and interests. After setting up of textile and jute mills, coupled with the laying of railways in 1850s, worker atrocities started to come to light. It was not fortuitous then that perhaps the first organized strike by any section of the working class should occur in the British owned and managed railway. This was the Signallers' Strike in May 1899 in the Great Indian Peninsular Railway, and the demands related to wages, hours of work, and other conditions of service. Almost all nationalist newspapers came out fully in support of the strike, with Tilak's newspapers, Maratha and Kesari, campaigning for it for months. In India, now there are more than 16,000 trade unions with a collective membership of around 10 million laborers. The deteriorated living conditions caused by the First World War and the exposure with the outside world resulted in the heightened consciousness amongst the workers. This provided fertile ground to the development of the movement. AITUC, the oldest trade union federation in India, was set up in 1920. It is India's second largest trade union federation after the Indian National Trade Union Congress. It was formed by the Indian National Congress in 1920 to represent India at the International Labour Organization of the League of Nations. So we get to see that in the post-independence period, trade unions started working more effectively, though from 1980s, trade movement started getting disintegrated. Globalization has led to the formation of new social, economic and political conditions, which has made it increasingly difficult for trade unions to function in traditional ways. Some of the problems faced by the workers in India are as follows: unstable employment conditions, contract labor, financial insecurity, health hazards, etc. Though India is being known for respecting women and even worshipping them as goddess, but the fact is that women in India have been ill-treated and made to face inhuman condition at all level of her journey right from her birth. In the pre-independence period, the status of women within the country was in a deprived state. It is indeed surprising to know that it was the mindset of the progressive men that initiated women's movement to eliminate injustice against them and help them to lead a respectful life. Reformers like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Mahatma Jyotirao Phule, Savitribai Phule, Maharishi Dhondo Keshav Karve, Pandita Ramabai Ranade took initiative in ending the practice of sati and child marriage and initiated reforms like widow remarriage, women's education, and right to vote to women. In spite of giving equal rights in all the fields by the Constitution, women were not treated equally. In the latter period, we see a role reversal wherein women participated in large numbers in the movement against corruption, caste discrimination, and religious extremism, thereby helping to empower others. Women's movements at various levels are taking up issues like women's health, social security, financial independence, and empowerment. The contemporary India experiences an almost unrestricted exploitation of resources. The balance of nature is disrupted. This has led to many conflicts in the society. The environment movements are taking up issues like protection of biodiversity for the control of illegal trade in wildlife, including endangered species, protecting different sources of water. Say, for example, more than 500 million people live along the Ganges River. An estimated 20 lakh people ritually bathe daily in the river, which is considered holy by Hindus. Ganges River pollution is a major health risk. Protection of forest, green belts, etc. For example, the Chipko movement to protect the trees on the Himalayan slopes from the axis of contractors of the forest. Save the Silent Valley movement in order to protect the Silent Valley, the moist evergreen forest, from being destroyed by a hydroelectric project. Jungle Bachao movement against government's decision to replace the natural sal forest with teak. Pollution of rivers. By an estimate by 2012, Delhi's sacred Yamuna River contained 7,500 coliform bacteria per 100 cubic centimeter of water. A number of NGOs, pressure groups, eco clubs as well as citizen movements have been active in their task to clean the river. Use of chemicals and their side effects, etc. Even at international level, many movements are working to stop deterioration of the environment. Water is the elixir of life. It sustains the growth and development of various organisms. Without it, life on Earth would have been impossible. If we continue to exploit our water resources, then a time will come when we will face a major global water scarcity and water wars will follow it. Rajendra Singh of Alwar district of Rajasthan understood it very well. His attempts at water management and conservation are a testimony to this fact. He won the Magsaysay Award in 2001 and Stockholm Water Prize, an award known as the Nobel Prize for Water, in 2015 for his water conservation activities. He bagged the title of Waterman of India for his inspirational efforts. Rajendra Singh joined Tarun Bharat Sangha as a student activist in 1980. He solved the problem of water scarcity in Rajasthan by disseminating information, that is, spreading information widely on traditional water conservation technologies. Johats can be described as a small earthen check dams that capture and conserve rainwater and help in meeting our water needs in dry seasons. It also improves percolation and helps in recharge of the groundwater table. Rajendra Singh was the main force behind the revival of some 3,000 johads spread across more than 650 villages in Alwar district, Rajasthan, starting from 1984. It has resulted in a steady rise of groundwater table by almost 6 meters and a 33% increase in the forest cover in the area that was destroyed by deforestation and mining activities. 5 seasonal rivers are now perennial in nature. River Arwari is a famous example. India has an ancient history of consumer protection. Consumer protection was a part of its ancient culture and formed the core of its administration. Kautilya's Arthashastra was the basic of ancient India, and the same was strengthened with provisions to protect consumers. Sale of commodities was organized in such a way that general public was not put to any trouble. So we see that consumer protection in India has an ancient history. It was a part of our culture and tradition. Generally, there were no shortages and exploitation. Culprits were fined heavily. However, the golden era got over with the invasion of foreigners and modernization. It is now over a decade since the Consumer Protection Act 1986 was passed. After years of lobbying by the various consumer organizations, here are now about 1,000 organizations of consumers in existence. But all the cities and towns have not been covered. The rural areas where the greater part of our 900 million consumers live are still virtually untouched by the consumer movement. The consumer movements work to protect consumers from frauds like adulteration, increased cost of items, frauds in weights and measures, etc. Consumer groups will have to be on their guard against certain products and services. For example, obesity treatments, hair restoration and treatments, and arthritis cures for their misleading and highly exaggerated claims. Laws against cigarette and liquor advertising are being openly flouted through advertising on hoardings and through cable television. Consumer movements need to be extremely alert regarding dubious or hazardous products entering the country in the wake of liberalization. Overall, we need to understand that these movements increase the participation of people in public life. So, we have completed the lesson. Now students, attempt the questions given in the exercise section on page 96. That's all for now. Thank you.